As Donald Trump's tariffs cast a huge shadow over the federal election, he also threatened Ottawa and the European Union from working together to do what he calls economic harm to the U.S. If that happened, Trump posted, large-scale tariffs, far larger than currently planned, will be placed on both of them. The head of the European Union shot back, saying, as I have said before, tariffs are taxes, bad for business, worse for consumers, equally in the U.S. and the EU. The EU will continue to seek negotiated solutions. Germany has also pushed back hard against the tariff threats, saying it will not give in. We sat down with Germany's ambassador to Canada, Tjorven Bellmann. Ambassador Bellmann, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm thrilled. Thank you.
It's been fascinating to watch how different European countries approached negotiating with Donald Trump. And as Canada has tried to develop some of those relationships a little further, looking for alternatives to the U.S., it really struck us when we were doing the research for the show that Germany has been one of the strongest in speaking out against Donald Trump, in standing up to him, perhaps more so than our allies in France or the U.K., a very determined position. Can you tell us about how Germany came to that position and how you're negotiating with Donald Trump?
Well, I think our politicians have indeed been clear that, for example, the latest tariff announcements are wrong. There will only be losers in the end, and it'll be the American taxpayers and American workers who will suffer from this as much as our population. And we want to do more trade with you, Canada, but also with the US and not less. So the reaction from our side to the tariff announcement, both on aluminum and steel and the auto sector, which is a worldwide tariff, so it hits us just as it hits Canada as well, will be done by the European Commission. The Commission has announced that they will take countermeasures, and it'll be an approach very similar to the Canadian one, which says, on the one hand, we will continue to talk and negotiate, but on the other hand, we are very determined to react as well.
Your economy minister has said that it's really important to stand up to Donald Trump and not to back down. Why does Germany see that as so important, and how do you underline it?
Well, I think the words of the economy minister stand for themselves. It's very clear that none of us must be bullied. We have to defend our workers, our businesses, and have to show to the US that this is a battle that nobody can win. Everybody will lose at the end of it, and it will be US citizens and US businesses who will lose as well. So we want to do more trade together, not less trade, but we will certainly stand up for us and for each other. And friends, as Canada and Germany, have to have each other's back.
When it comes to the auto tariffs, Germany could be particularly hard hit. Of course, you are the homeland for BMW, Mercedes, these prestigious automobiles that will take a very large hit from this tariff. We're already seeing it affecting the German markets. What are you bracing for and anticipating in Germany for the effect to be on your people?
Well, you know, as said, we are at the moment, of course, we are between governments. So we have a caretaker government. So it will be for the next government that is in formation to then decide on specific measures to take. What our politicians have already decided in the old parliament is a very far-reaching financial reform that will set up a 500 billion euro, which is 750 billion Canadian dollars, special budget for infrastructure investment and climate investment in order to kickstart the economy. We will reform our our structures so that we will become more productive. And part of the equation is also to invest much more into our defenses than we are already doing. There's also been financial reform there, and also to use that in order to create more economic growth.
And are you engaging in retaliatory tariffs against Donald Trump in the way that Canada is planning to?
On the European side, that's done by the European Commission. So that's their competence, because we are a single market in Europe. And the European Commission has indeed already announced certain countermeasures. They were originally planned for the 1st of April and have been now postponed for 2 weeks in order to give the negotiations more time. So that was in a reaction to the aluminum and steel. tariffs, and the head of the Commission, Ms. von der Leyen, also has already reacted and said we will take countermeasures. They will be targeted, measured, in order to make sure that we don't hit our own businesses more than necessary, but there will be countermeasures, yes.
Looking at trade, of course, there is CETA, which is the Canada-European Free Trade Agreement, but different countries participate to different degrees. I know one of the things that you're talking about with the Canadian government is areas where there could be more trade. And there's the obvious ones we all think of, like beer and cars, which we'd all be big fans of. But what other areas are you looking at? Is it energy? Is it defense? What are some of the priorities there that you see German-Canadian collaboration?
I think it's all of those. And in fact, we have in front of us Hannover Messe, which is the world's largest industrial technology fair that will start from Monday, next Monday. And Canada this year is the official partner country. So I think, you know, if diversification of trade is the order of the day, that's where it's going to happen. We will see 240 Canadian businesses attending, 1,000 Canadians descending on Hanover next week. 5 million handshakes in 5 days. So this is a huge opportunity for Canada to present your industries. It's all about next generation manufacturing, AI, green tech. So I think this is, you know, really to try and make it concrete, and I hope that many more deals will come out of that. We already have some cooperation, of course, in the defense sector. I think there is a big potential for more, especially as Canada is going to need a new replace your submarine fleet. We are one of the bidders on that, and would offer an extraordinary cooperation that we already have with Norway, because we build our submarines together, and it would be great if Canada were to join that cooperation.
Of course, Canada has a history of buying from Germany. Our tanks that went to Afghanistan were made by a German manufacturer. There's still a strong relationship there. We don't know, and I expect you don't know either, where that tank contract is. The government had promised to replace them, so that potentially could be an area. The submarines, I know, is further down the path. What can you tell us about these German-made submarines? What advantages would they have for Canada?
Well, the submarines we build will come on the market in 2029, the first boat. It will then be the most modern, conventionally run submarine that is on the market. TKMS, which is the company building the submarines in Germany, builds 70% of NATO's conventional submarine fleet already, so we have many customers around the world. And what is, I think, the main opportunity, aside from the fact that technologically and in terms of the weaponry, it will be the state-of-the-art boat on the market then, is that you could be entering a trilateral cooperation, which gives you a lot of economies of scale. It would mean that we would produce, maintain, train together. And of course, a lot of value in terms of businesses here would be added through the maintenance and maybe potentially even through some supply chain deals. I think the potential is huge, but of course, it's a Canadian decision in the end.
What's your sense of the level of Canadian interest and desire to move at a rapid speed?
I think, you know, I mean, your processes take time, and that's fair. I think there is a great interest in moving as quickly as possible. The Prime Minister has just committed to that process going forward, which is, I think, was a very important signal. So I think the realization that Canada needs to move quickly on a lot of these contracts is clearly there.
What are your thoughts on defense cooperation more largely? I'm thinking alliances and NATO. There's a lot of concern about the future of NATO with things the Trump administration has said. Both Europe and Canada have relied to a great degree on NATO for our collective defense. Canada's talking about a closer relationship with Europe, but the reality is we're across the Atlantic. How do you see that potential playing out?
I think, first of all, both we and Canada have an interest, and a very overriding interest, to keep NATO credible and, you know, keep it running. So we will do everything we can to keep these formats. But it's also good that, in addition to that, at the moment, Canada and the EU are in the process of negotiating a security and defense partnership, which is good. You also know that on the European side, we are going to invest heavily in our industrial base. There will be European money for that, and there will be the possibility of partnerships with non-EU countries. And we definitely want Canada to be part of that. So, we will try to keep our alliances because they are so important. And, the threat level we face in Europe is very acute. We already have a war going on in Europe since the illegal invasion of Russia in Ukraine. And none of us has any illusions that Vladimir Putin has imperial ambition beyond Ukraine. So for us, it's really a race against time. Our Chief of Defense is saying publicly that he wants the German armed forces war-ready by 2029 in order to prevent a war from happening.
Ambassador Bellmann, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning.
It was a pleasure. Thanks.